Hello, this is Professor Jones, and this is going to be a video just introducing you a little bit to Mastering Chemistry, the homework platform that we're going to be using in Chemistry 117. Before we go to Mastering Chemistry, you see right now we're on the home page for our Canvas site. I just want to show you about registering in Mastering Chemistry. So you see this link on the left-hand side, My Lab and Mastering. I'm already registered, so this doesn't help me very much. But that's where you'll be able to access Mastering Chemistry after you register for it. If you need instructions for how to register for Mastering Chemistry, you'll find that in the modules section of the website on the page called Mastering Chemistry Homework Site. You'll find up here at the top is a PDF link to how to register for the class. You do not need a course code. And if you get to that point, something's gone wrong. So please do take a look at that PDF. The first step in registering for Mastering Chemistry is that you have to create an account with Pearson on the Mastering site, and you have to pay. And then once you do that, you can come back to this website, and through this My Lab and Mastering link, you'll then be able to get to our specific course without knowing a number for it. So please follow the instructions here in this PDF, and if you have any problems, contact Pearson. Okay. Having done that, what I want to do now is I'm going to move you over to my Mastering Chemistry page, which is a little bit different from yours because I'm the instructor. I already have it open. I could have gotten there by just going through this My Lab and Mastering link. As you can see, once you're connected, it allows you an open My Lab and Mastering from here. Alternatively, you can also get into My Lab or Mastering from the assignments page of our Canvas site. I have a lot more than you because you don't have access to all of them yet, but you can click on any of the available assignments and that'll open that assignment for you within Canvas as well. So I've opened this separately in My Lab and Mastering. This is the sort of course homepage listing all the assignments that are available in this class. The only ones you guys have right now are the top 4, and then I created a fake quiz that we could look at without having to see the real quiz today. So I just want to briefly show you there's a calendar view of everything that's happening in Mastering, just like there is in Canvas. So you can see all the due dates on a calendar of when things are available to you. In this class, remember that all the assignments are due at 4:59 p.m., so right before 5 o'clock, not midnight. And also we try, whenever possible, to have our homework and quiz assignments due on Fridays. The only exceptions are when the exams are on Fridays. You'll see that the quizzes and the homeworks are due on Wednesdays. So if you prefer to work in My Lab, you can get your deadlines here instead of in Canvas. In this list view, you can see all the assignments that are available to you to work on. As the semester progresses, I'll open up more and more of the assignments, and then they'll show up there. For this week, there are 4 assignments you can potentially work on, which is probably surprising to you because there's only 3 listed in the syllabus. The first one that you should start with is this assignment called Introduction to Mastering Chemistry. That's an assignment designed to actually help you learn how to use the Mastering Chemistry system, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then the actual homework for this week I call Homework 0 because it's just some preliminary ideas that you should know already. For every week, in addition to the homework that's actually due for points, which is called HW and whatever number it is, I also create a practice homework. That's what you see up here, this practice Homework 0. That is a homework with similar questions for you to practice on that don't count for any points. So if you're stuck on something in your normal homework, you can always go back to the practice homework to get more practice. Please take advantage of that resource. And then the last thing that you're going to have to do each week is a quiz. You'll notice the quiz has this little clock next to it. That means the quiz is actually a timed assignment. And we'll talk about the differences in how the homework and the quizzes are graded in a few minutes. Let's just go ahead and open up one of, let me remind you, the due dates are in list view always over here on the right column. But let's go ahead and open one of the assignments. Let's open the one called Introduction to Mastering Chemistry. And I'm going to open it up in student view, since you guys are students, and move that window over here so you can see it. When you first open up a Mastering Chemistry assignment, you always get some header information here at the top, which tells you when it's due, as always, how many questions there are in it, and approximately how long they think it should take you to do it. Perhaps more important to you, you can always click here to find out what the grading policy for the assignment is, so that if it's unclear to you, You should always be able to find that information there. Except for this first homework called Introduction to Mastering Chemistry, all the rest of the assignments have the same grading policy. This homework has a slightly different grading policy because it's actually designed to let you learn how the system works, so it asks you to deliberately miss some of the questions. So you've got more tries on the questions in this one, and you're not penalized at all for looking at hints because it actually deliberately asks you to look at hints. So make sure when you go to look at homework 0 that you go and take a look at the exact grading policy there, and I'll go through that with you in a few minutes too. So this particular homework is designed for you to actually learn how to use the Mastering Chemistry system. So you can click on one of the items, and what you'll see is it looks like a homework problem. So there's always a bit of commentary in it. It tells you this one, because it's introducing to the system, it has a lot of commentary about how the system works. Make sure you read through all of that. So we can also show you a little bit how the system works in terms of answering a question. This question asks us how many squares are in a 2x2 grid. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say we think the answer is 4. Oh, that's wrong. And so now it tells us that there are 9 more attempts remaining. Why is it wrong? Well, there's actually 5 squares there. So you can see you can now submit your correct answer, and it'll tell you correct, and it gives you some follow-up information. You can also always get the answers that you've entered previously, as well as all the commentary that you got before by clicking that previous answers button. Some questions also have hints. In a normal homework, you're going to be penalized if you open a hint. You'll lose a little bit of points for using hints. In this homework, you don't, but in the normal homeworks, you do. So you're going to want to think before you actually open a hint. And so in order to help you decide whether you really want to open a hint or not, you can click this View Available Hints, and it'll tell you the titles of the hints. You're not penalized until you actually click on one of these hints and read it. So hints typically are some explanation of what you need to do, and then they often have a question embedded in there that's supposed to help you get to the right answer. The questions in those hints don't count towards your points, but opening the hint does count towards your points. You'll notice on each question there's also a request answer link. I want to discourage you from ever clicking on this link. This will tell you the answer. So it'll warn you first, are you sure you want to know the answer? Because if you ask for an answer, you're not going to get credit anymore. Now, unless you've used up all your tries on a question, there's no reason to do this. Because remember, you're only losing a certain amount of points every time you get something wrong, so you can still get it right. But as soon as you click Request Answer, you can't answer it ever again, and so you will lose all the points on that question. It's much more in your interest to come into office hours, ask someone to help you, and then answer the question correctly. You'll get more help than you would by just looking at the answer, and you'll get some points out of it. So please don't use the Request Answer link. The other thing that I want to remind you about is, and this is explained in the syllabus and the course website, is that although ordinarily you have 3 attempts in a homework to answer the question correct, each time that you answer incorrectly, you lose a certain percentage of the points. And for example, on this homework, we actually have 10 tries at each question, but that wouldn't make sense for a multiple choice question with only 5 answers. So instead, for multiple choice questions, you have 1 minus the total number of options, so 4 in this case. Or for a true-false question, you only have 1 attempt because the question is only true or false. So it doesn't make sense for you to have 3 trials or 10 trials or however many trials for multiple choice or true-false questions. So keep that in mind as well. Remember, at the top of a Mastering Chemistry assignment, you always have these links to constants. You can get used to using these. These are atomic numbers for all the elements, masses, whatever. Later on, we'll need information like formulas for things, and you can find all of that here. You're going to want to make sure that you're not using this as a crutch, though. There is also a list of formulas you'll have available on exams. So don't get used to using a formula that you're not going to have later on. There's also a periodic table in this link, so that if you need any information from a periodic table, it's always here for you. In addition to homeworks, let's go back to the assignments. We also have quizzes in the Mastering Chemistry, and I've made this fake quiz here so that we can look at it. So let's look at the fake quiz in Student View to make sure you know what a quiz looks like. Again, just like the homework, you can always pull up the grading policy here on the right-hand side. It tells you that you've got 2 tries per question on a quiz and that you're going to lose some credit for each incorrect answer. So normally you'll only lose 3%, but multiple choice, true, false, I just explained how that's different. And if you use up all your attempts or you run out of time, you lose all the credit. So on homework, after the deadline, you can still get 50% of the points. But on quizzes, as soon as you run out of time or the deadline for the quiz hits, you lose all the points that you haven't earned already. You can also see that in the timed assignment policy. Once you start working on the assignment, if you try to open any other assignment, you will lose your time on this. So once you open this quiz, you can't open anything else in Mastering Chemistry. If you try to open a homework and look at it, it will stop the quiz and you can't get any more points. This is really important. Right now, we're just playing around in the header, so you can see the timer hasn't started yet. But once you press that start button, you can't stop for any reason. It will keep counting down, and when the 45 minutes is up, you're done. If you try to open another file in Mastering Chemistry, it will automatically stop your quiz and you can't work on it anymore. And also, if you start at 4:30, even though you have 45 minutes when you started, because the deadline comes at 5, your quiz will stop after 30 minutes. You will not get the full 45 minutes. So you need to remember all of these things in terms of doing the quiz. In general, every week, it makes the most sense to start by doing the homework. If you get stuck or you need more help, go back to the practice homework to get more help. And then once you've done the homework and the practice homework and you think you understand how the problems work well, go ahead and move on to the quiz. Don't start the quiz until you've done the homework because you've got less attempts to get it right and it's a timed situation. It's really meant to test yourself to make sure you got the basic ideas from the homeworks. This should be enough material to get you started in Mastering Chemistry. So if you have other questions, please don't hesitate to ask. It's, I think, quite an intuitive system, but you want to make sure you understand what's going on.